In today's video, we find out in Fortnite what happens when the three major bosses meet each other. That's Boss Foundation, Boss Gunnar, and Boss Dr. Slone all meet each other at the same time. If you guys remember, these bosses have met each other before. They met each other in the Chapter 2 Season 8 event.
Uh-oh.
And that one didn't end too well for Gunnar, but then suddenly in the Chapter 3 Season 2 event, he got revenge.
Hello there.
So now I wanted to find out what would happen if all these bosses meet each other. So the plan for today's video is to take Foundation over to Dr. Slone and obviously Gunnar over to Dr. Slone as well. We were going to use Slone as the center of this fight in this video. If you guys are new around here, don't forget roughly 98% of you guys watching aren't subscribed, so tap that subscribe button. It'd mean the absolute world to me if we could get to 500,000 subscribers. Don't forget, if you want to support the channel further and you get a free moment, pop in code POST to your item shop. You can do this by entering via your item shop or by one of my creative maps. Here we are actually on Toybox. Here's a little preview of the code for you guys on the little photo card you can take photos with. Pretty cool. There's the code if you want to go in. So jumping straight into the gameplay, it was time to get started to get all these bosses meeting each other. The first thing we did was scatter our team all over the map. Shout out to the team in the game, by the way. You guys absolutely rock with this one. And we moved all over the map to grab as many items as possible. We were looking for impulses, shockwaves, and gathering as many as possible. So I destroyed the entire tilted, looted up the entire tilted. It took me around 10 minutes to do, and I managed to loot up a bunch. After that, I decided to cover the lake, which we would have to bring Foundation over to get him to Dr. Slone. So I simply went over here and started covering this lake. It didn't really take me too long. After about 15 minutes or so, I had most of the lake covered, and then the rest of the team were finishing it off. So it was quite easy to do to cover that lake overall. Pretty good job, just in case Foundation does get stuck in the water, which we don't want because that would be very painful to get him out of there. So the lake was covered, and we had all our loot gathered as well. While this was taking place, there were people still all over the map gathering us loot, and you can see we managed to gather a bunch of different resources. We had a bunch of shockwaves, impulses, and so much more loot inside of here. Pretty good, right guys? This is going to come in super handy when we manage to get these bosses to actually get close to each other. So we first started moving Foundation. Someone managed to already get Foundation out of his sanctuary, so it was kind of a little bit of a bonus. And then we also got Foundation moving with some lovely shots from me with these shockwaves. This got him pretty close to the bosses, and we decided to move Foundation first just because he's the most difficult one to move because he's got the longest distance. So getting him going, easy shockwaves, and he's almost there at Dr. Slone. It really didn't take that long to move Foundation, and once we got him there, we kept him still. Over at Covert Cavern, while my team were looking after Foundation, I went in, took out the IO guards, and started to move Gunnar out. It was important to eliminate the IO guards first, just because we didn't want to put them in the fight today, and they would get in the way. So we got them out, just to make it a little bit easier, and then we started moving Gunnar out. A few shockwaves and impulses should get him out of here quite nicely. Nice little shockwave there, moves him towards the door. And then all I've got to do next is just move him through here and get him into this doorway. So nice little impulse should get him through. Oh, almost. Throw a little shockwave. That should work nicely. There we are. All right, so Gunnar is moving up. He's almost out of here. We'll slowly get him outside of the base. And once he's outside of the base, it'll be perfect for us to move him towards the location of Dr. Slone. And what we'll do, because we've got Foundation already outside of the area, he's not bang on in the area. This will be perfect for when he meets. You can see Dr. Slone's over there, Gunnar's moving in slowly, he's over there in the distance, just out of render distance slightly, and also Foundation is over on the very far left. You can see his name on the screen. So Gunnar's in a good position, ready to go for the fight. Also Dr. Slone's in a good position, so all we got to do now is box up Gunnar, make sure he's safe, and then bring Foundation into the action. So my team had Foundation over here. We also managed to box Gunnar up inside of this box here. This took a little bit of time because we had to have someone constantly placing the wall, because obviously it'd break out. And then on the other side, Dr. Slone in her normal position. She seems to be a little bit strange. I don't know why she was like this. She just kind of stood still, but it kind of helps us for this. Dr. Slone in position. All right, Foundation was ready to go. I threw in a shockwave, and he goes straight into the air towards the action. Foundation was ready to go. My team were in a good position, keeping themselves at a good distance, and we were set to go. Foundation goes in there nicely. Unfortunately, I do impulse a few of my team members, and Foundation is in the action. So one lovely shockwave sends him straight in to the Doctor. Doctor looks for Foundation, trying to target him, and then eventually clones. So now we've got 3 of the Slones in the action. We've also got Foundation going in on this left side. There goes his shockwave into the action. You see him fly in there on the right. He comes in. Dr. Slone already targeting on the Foundation. Foundation's still not targeted yet, so he's taking a bunch of damage here from 3 Slones. They're actually not targeting them just yet. Eventually, he does start to target. Another shockwave comes in, so I move him closer to the Doctors, and the action begins. He's straight dominating the battle, taking on Dr. Slone. Currently, Gunnar is still inside of his box, though, so we managed to break out Gunnar while Foundation is in action with the Dr. Slones. Gunnar a little bit confused on this right side over here, trying to hit the Foundation, but only hitting 2 shots on the Foundation there, so not much damage onto him. He's missing a lot of shots, Gunnar, which is not good. Foundation's aim levels up and just aims for the grass here. I'm not too sure why, but he decided to, but that's okay. Slone aiming in on Foundation, missing a bunch of shots. Foundation gets a nice little shot there on Slone's shield. Nicely done. We don't know which is the real one, though, so he's trying his best to identify it. We use our shockwaves to move him a little bit closer again, keeping him close in the fight. Taking a little bit more damage from the Doctor. The Doctors definitely are absolutely wrecking the Foundation, with the Foundation only dealing 23 damage. Nice little impulse here, or I'm going to go with a shockwave instead. I'm going to fire this shockwave in to move Foundation back into the battle, so we send him into this right side over here. He goes in, and he takes down the first Dr. Slone nicely with his AR. You got to remember, the clones are weaker than the actual Slone, though. You got to remember that, guys. You have to remember that part. It's really important. So, you see Foundation again, aiming with his AR, trying to get some damage on Gunnar now. He's engaged in the fight with Gunnar. Gunnar is trying his best, but he is targeting on our players. Then he goes to Foundation when they do cross paths here. Gunnar getting a bunch of damage on Foundation. Foundation also hitting Gunnar's shield. They've both got full shield at the minute, trying his best to deal as much damage as possible. Gunnar is also dealing a bunch of damage to our players and Foundation. Foundation and Gunnar still in a 1v1 situation here, where Dr. Slone's over in the distance, just trying to locate where the Foundation is currently. You see Gunnar unfortunately does miss a few shots there, but that's okay. Gets a little one on. Foundation still missing all the shots in the air. Gunnar getting a few shots there on Foundation, gets a double tag. Nice little tag there. That's really going to help in the battle when Slone does move in a second. A little bit of damage there on the Gunnar. Gunnar aiming in, missing a few shots. He's not used any of his special abilities yet. Sometimes the NPCs don't like to use special abilities when they're outside of their zones. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It's just a bit random when that does happen. Gunnar taking a little bit of damage there from Foundation. Foundation gets a nice little shot on Gunnar. Little triple shot there. Gunnar again fighting here. Lovely impulse, moves them closer together in this 1v1 situation. You can see Dr. Slone on this left side, aiming in now on the Foundation, trying to get that 36 damage on him. Gets a little bit difficult because of the terrain. Foundation definitely takes advantage of the terrain, using the hills to block the bullets from Dr. Slone. One of the Slones moves in on this side over here. This one, for some reason, isn't shooting at the Foundation, and she has officially lost her shield just there. So she is shield down. Slone has only got 2 units remaining. And I think this one might be the human one, the actual Slone, not the clones, because she is not actually shooting, just a little bug. This did happen with Dr. Doom back in the past in the Season 4 videos for the OG fans. Jumping straight back into the fight, you can see that Foundation is holding his ground against the 2 Slones. Dr. Slone 1 stood still, Dr. Slone still taking down the Foundation. We assume the other one is going to be the clone, with the final one, the human one, being completely stood still with some sort of bug. But you can see Foundation is trying his best to take her out. He does take her out, with 1 Dr. Slone remaining here, missing a few shots, and he gets a nice little 23 there, though. Dr. Slone is super low right now. Will Foundation finish her off? And she looks like she's gonna go down just like that, and 1 Slone goes down. Slone is out. Looks like we've only got the Gunnar left and Foundation, who have now rotated over towards the bridge. It took a little bit of time for them to get here, but Foundation responds with a huge meatball, his first meatball of the video. It goes in and hits the Gunnar, and Gunnar responds with a grenade mid-air, throws it towards Foundation, but just misses his grenade. That would have done a ton of damage to Foundation if that grenade did hit, but it does miss. Gunnar again trying to get out the water here towards Foundation. He's trying his best to jump out. He uses his ability to get out of the water. Nice little charge in with a little 36 straight to Foundation, just like the event. Foundation responds straight with his meatball again, hitting straight onto Gunnar, dealing a bunch of damage, throwing grenades. Gunnar now actually throwing double grenades, but actually at the human players and not the NPC boss Foundation. He does not target him. We're giving Foundation a little bit of an advantage here. Gunnar again, he does not like to respond to who is actually fighting him, giving the Foundation a huge advantage with another meatball flying straight on Gunnar there, getting a bunch of damage straight onto him. It took a while for Gunnar to get moving, but eventually a nice little shockwave comes in, spinning him around to this greenhouse by Tilted Lake. Foundation responds to a huge meatball, hitting Gunnar there nicely, but missing a bunch of shots here. Gunnar has actually cracked Foundation's shield, so it's pretty close between these two. They've got pretty similar health. The fight is continuing on. The battle between Gunnar and Foundation. Will he avenge Dr. Slone, or will Foundation finish him off? Little 1v1 fight here. You can see the battling it out. Gunnar missing a few shots. Foundation also missing. Reloading, switches to the meatball. Throws in the meatball on the Gunnar. Is it going to hit Gunnar? Nice little meatball again, hit him for 90. That meatball is giving him a huge advantage with them huge giant rocks, giving him that little advantage nicely against Gunnar. Actually dealing a bunch of damage there. Gunnar onto Foundation with 20s. Foundation's still not shooting here. What's he doing? He's missing a few shots. Nice little another 20. Oh, that little 23 burst took down the Gunnar there right at the end. If you guys love Fortnite fashion shows, I actually built a 50 fashion show which you guys can play and become the judge in. You can use the code on screen, take a screenshot right now, and jump into the 50 player fashion show with public players. You can play it for fun with all your skins in Fortnite with 18 different themes weekly. Hop on in, guys. What are you waiting for? Take a screenshot of the code right now and jump in.